it. Let's get it.
All right, let's go. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Mike and I are hopping on before the game for a quick little preview. Game time's in about 30 minutes, or not 25, about 15, 20 minutes. And Mike and I are hopping on to break down what we see from Washington and how we think the teams match up a little bit. And what I'm seeing is, just like Oregon, this team, talent-wise, is better than their record. And the most noticeable one is Hannes Steinbach. He's a German freshman, and he is going to be a top 10, top 15 pick in the NBA draft, and he's going to be that for a reason. But, Mike, what are you seeing from this matchup?
Man, this is going to be a really great matchup. Winter versus Hannes Steinbach. Really great European player. He's from Würzburg, Germany. They have a very high-level professional team. They play in a lot of European circuits and everything like that. But he's super fluid for being 6'10". I've seen a few different games. I watched a few of his highlights. There's a reason he's getting such high regard in draft boards, why he's probably going to – I personally think he actually might sneak up. You know, he's saying a mid-round projection. There's probably a GM that's going to fall in love with him. He's very, very fluid. He's big. He's got good hands, and he just has a really good understanding of the game. So I think it's going to be a great matchup between Winter and Steinbach. It's really going to show us where Winter is at. It's going to be really, really fun. But he shoots the ball really well. He averages 4 offensive rebounds a game. He's leading the Big Ten in rebounding at 11 a game. He's a horse. Like, no questions about it. He's a horse. He's lanky. And he has really good patience when he catches the ball out of the pick and roll. He plays off of 2 feet, which allows him to be very fluid. He can still continue to finish if he wants to, but he finds guys on the pick and roll. He doesn't get a lot of charges, which is really a really great sign, especially for a young big. So it'll be really interesting. I'm really excited to watch this matchup. I'm really excited to see how Nolan Winter does. This is going to be, like I said, a really good test for him. I bet you if he plays well, he's going to use a lot of this film leading up to the draft and what he does at the next level for sure. Because it's, you know, a lot of times what happens is when you play in college, you're not always playing against guys that are going to be in the NBA. When you get these types of matchups with 2 potential NBA guys, this is where a lot of things show up that way. So really, really excited about it.
Yeah, wow. And I want to point out that typically they start Steinbach alongside another big guy, and they're not going to have Kepnon today, who is a 6-year senior, went to Oregon for 2 years, then went to Washington the following 3 or 4 years. But he's a grown man, and he's going to be out today, so that's notable because he sends back 2 shots a game, averages 6 rebounds. So him, Steinbach, that's a lot of beef down low. But they do bring in Somerville, who is 6'10", 275 pounds. So he's quite hefty as well. So they got some size, but he only had 1 board against Rutgers in their last game. He started, played 25 minutes, only 1 board. But that's probably because Steinbach is just hogging the boards. The guy is everywhere, especially on the old boards. Yeah, on the old boards, he's absolutely elite. Looking at Washington a little bit, they are not an elite three-point shooting team. And this sounds familiar. A team that's got some talent, that's not too good of a shooting team, and they've won 2 out of their last 3. Sounds a little bit like Oregon on the West Coast there, but Washington is very consistent, shooting 31.9% from 3 on the entire season, and that's what they've shot in conference play so far, 31.9%. So not a good three-point shooting team, but neither was Oregon, and they shot the ball pretty well. So this game concerns me just like the Oregon game concerned me. Washington got some beef, got some length as well. They're not an elite team, but they're plenty capable. It's at home, and if Wisconsin has a sleepy start, they're going to be in for an absolute dogfight. But I think the Nolan Winter Steinbach matchup, I'm pretty geared up for this one, and I think a big X factor is what's Nolan Winter's ankle looking like right now. Like I don't know how bad of a twist of his ankle that was. If he's a little hobbled, that's a big problem. I don't know if he scored that entire second half against Oregon. It definitely slowed him down. Boyd got slowed down in that second half. But Mike, how are you kind of feeling, as a player who's been through some hard conference losses? How do you think the guys are feeling right now heading into a game against Washington that's pretty similar to the Oregon game after a big letdown? What do you think the mentality is with this group?
I think it's just regroup, right? Like they came in, they had a rough second half. I mean, they played really well in the first half up until the point, right? They dominated the game at the start. They got the start they needed last game, and then just couldn't sustain it all the way through. And this game is one of those. I think the second game, a lot of teams are going to play a lot better on the West Coast. You're just a little more acclimated. You've been out there for a few days. You've gotten your rest. They had a couple days in between games, so they were able to really sustain themselves. And I know they probably got a couple lifts in, and they were able to get some practice in, as well as just some sleeping time, right? They didn't have to really travel. Oregon to Washington is not a huge travel from what I understand. They're definitely going to charter flights. So for me, I think it's just, hey, we got to get this game. It's one of those that you kind of look yourself in the mirror, and these are the harder games to get up for because it's not a necessarily great opponent, but it's a super important game for them, coming off of a really tough loss at Oregon. They just didn't show up, and that happens. And especially in this part of the year, some funny stuff can start to happen later in the year. Teams that are struggling a little bit with that. So for me, yeah, I'm looking for that. I'm just seeing, I think Nick Boyd's going to come out with a vengeance, especially with what he had last game. He was kind of bogged down a little bit by some pretty good athletes and some pretty good size. Washington has size. They have a talented roster. They're going to be a good matchup for us, I think, and hopefully we can just show up, knock some shots down, get things rolling early, and get a feel-good win here. But I'm a little bit concerned as well. Their two guards are very tough. They got a big guard and a smaller guard, and Yates. Yates is a little bit smaller. So I think they're going to cause some problems. They can definitely match up with Boyd and Blackwell. For me, it's the three matchups, right? It's the bigs, it's Winter versus Steinbach, and then Yates and Zoom Diallo. I love his name, by the way. Zoom Diallo.
Yes,
but
sir.
he is, yeah. Those are the three big matchups. Who wins those is going to, I think, determine the game, and then obviously the others. If we can get some big contributions off the bench from Carrington, if we can get something from Rapp, and if we can get Rhodey to show up a little bit more too, I think we should be good. We'll work through this. I've liked how they responded after losses. That's one thing I think we can count on, is this team has responded pretty well after losses. So I think that they'll come ready to play. Go ahead, sir. What you got?
Oh, well, do you want to answer the question right here?
I can. I know I was talking for a little bit. My bad. I kind of hogged the mic, but I just thought it'd be good. Yeah. So yeah, as inconsistency with this team is there is just not quite as much cohesion as there used to be. You think about it when I was in school, or even the last few years prior to the transfer portal, you get a little bit more consistency. And that's one of the things that happens when you have new teams. And especially in college basketball, you have to gel so quickly at a high level. And the more continuity you can have, where you start building rapport over years and really getting into your culture and your systems. That's one of the things is really great about, Coach Guard, and going from Coach Ryan to Coach Guard, is those systems stayed consistent. So I think that's one of the biggest things is just the overturn of rosters every year, right? You don't have that continuity. So you get a little bit less consistency from teams, especially ones that rely on guys that haven't played at such high levels. We got guys that are jumping levels right now, especially big guys. Outside of Nolan Winter, we got two new young guys coming in for our bigs, as well as, other guys that haven't played together, haven't meshed together. So there's still some cohesion that needs to figure out. And I think the other thing is just like the way we shoot the ball, right? Like the way our style is there's going to be a little bit more inconsistency. But I also think that there's a higher upside with the way we're playing.
Sure. And I want to point out, just as you were talking there, you talk about the turnover of rosters and meshing right away. Like last year's team for Wisconsin had as much continuity as you'll see in the modern college basketball. And they got off to a really fast start. And this Wisconsin team this year has some continuity, but not nearly as much. Yes, no, I that's a funny comment I just saw come through. Man, it looks like he's at Red Lobster. I'm repping the vest that I got. I got at the Iowa
high
game.
fashion.
I don't know.
We
I
got
love
high fashion on the brew here. I'm letting you know
sir.
That is elite vest.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. Yeah, it's got a nice Culver's logo. Oh, other side. Got a nice Culver's logo on the back.
Oh, I
True
do.
Wisconsin vest.
True Culver's is an elite establishment.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So, but just kind of finishing up what my point was is that, Yes, I think this year seemed not as much continuity, and I feel like Wisconsin and what they're trying to do and their culture, they're just trying to lean on continuity still. So it takes a little bit. And also, like you said, just echoing what you said, the style of play. I mean, when you're shooting 45 threes and you're cold and you don't stop shooting threes, like they don't abandon who they are, and I respect that. Like sometimes I've said in the past, like, hey, I'd like them to touch the paint a little bit more, to dump it in the post, get all the way to the hoop. Like, yes, I would like to see that. But I also do appreciate that Wisconsin's a very three-heavy team, and they're not going to abandon their identity. So, but when you live by the three, you die by the three. It's a cliche quote, but it's very, very true. And Mike, talking about Washington just a little bit more, in the film you've seen of Steinbach, I've been impressed in the film I've seen of him. How high level do you think Steinbach is, and what do you think his potential is at the next level?
I think for him, he's a really, he kind of reminds me of Mo Wagner from Michigan. He's got that very similar style of game. He doesn't quite shoot as well. He's not quite as heavy as Mo Wagner was. I think he's a little more fleet of foot. I'm so glad I got to use that today. I've been waiting to use that. Good little idiom there. No, but I think he's really skilled. Like, he had a play where I watched one of his highlights, and I can't remember who it was against. I think it was Iowa, where he got the ball, caught an outlet pass right around the three-point line at his basket, took 3 dribbles, hit an in-and-out spin with his right hand into the middle of the paint at full speed, was able to shoot a floater, missed it, but then got right to the rim. Like his fluidity, his ability to stop and go forward after that spin to then put an offensive rebound in. Man, that is just some stuff you can't teach. And that is a physical ability that scouts are going to look at and go, oh, okay, this guy's in this upper echelon of physical abilities, and he's got some good touch. We can work with that. So, I think he's if he gets to Mo Wagner level, and I think he can. Mo Wagner was a little bit older. I think he spent 2 years in college. I don't think
I will say,
right away.
Yeah, I will say, though, Steinbach, I believe, is going to be 20 pretty soon. So he's a little bit on the older side. But
yeah, he's still a European player, that aspect that came over. But for me, yeah, he definitely, he's got it. Just seeing what he has, what scouts are looking for in the NBA, he's definitely got that. So, if he puts it together, we'll see what he can do. He can have if he has a Mo Wagner career, like he's made a bunch of money, he's on a roster, he's consistently in the rotation on a playoff team. Those things are great.
All right.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Hey man, no shame here.
Statement.
No shame here. Brett Rail. It's Brett Rail, like a railroad. I know that now. But Brett, respectfully disagree with you here. I love this vest. I love it. Love the Culvers on the back. But yeah, Mo Wagner, I just got curious. Yeah, 3 years at Michigan. Holy cow, did he improve in his 3 years? You look at Wagner as a freshman, is averaging 2.9 points per game, was shooting 16% from three, then took a huge jump his sophomore year, and then obviously his junior year, he made a lot of noise. So yeah, I mean, for being a freshman, Hannes is pretty far along in his development. But Mike, so Wisconsin has had 2 out of their last 3 games have been bad. They've been stinkers. Whatever you want to say, it's been pretty rough. Bad watches. That Ohio State game was the worst game to watch of the season, perhaps for me. BYU was pretty rough. I guess BYU. Yeah. Actually, I take it back. Wisconsin got whooped up in November and December a few times, but it was up there for certain. And my question for you is, what do you think Greg Gard is emphasizing in the locker room? Like, what things is he saying? Hey, we need to improve on this. After some bad performances, this is what we need to do. Or is it, hey, don't abandon your identity. We are who we are. Shots are going to fall. What do you think Greg Gard's saying in the locker room is, or on the court before the game starts? It starts 5-6 minutes. What do you think Gard is kind of focusing on right now?
I mean, pep talks are. It's funny as you get into a season, right? You hear a lot of the in-game speeches. And in-game speeches are super interesting. They can flow very differently. Coach Ryan generally had a very similar in-game speech. A lot of it was, hey, these are the 3 things or 4 things we really need to take care of. We would usually kind of go over like a very inundated or shortened or abbreviated scouting report. Hey, this guy does these are the 2 best things this dude does. And then it's all about, hey, we need to get this to stay in position and go out there and play hard. Like, there's a certain point where you can't keep giving the same rah-rah speech over and over again. It just kind of gets muted out. It's one of those things that is a little bit challenging to continue to motivate guys with. But overall, I think it's just, hey, we got to rebound the basketball. We got to win the backboard today. If we win the backboard today, think good things will happen. Got to find that intensity, and I got to find that defensive identity that they've had in games, right? Like, they got to lock back in and find that defensive intensity. And if they can do that, man, it's going to be really, really great for them to do that. And then obviously just, shoot the ball with confidence. They had a rough outing last game. That, don't let your last dictate your next, right? They always talk about next play. I know Wisconsin has that next play mentality. They speak about it. They preach about it. It's a very positive and very normal aspect of basketball. Have that next shot, shake off the last one. The last one can't affect the next one, especially for good shooters. So for me, I think that's what Coach Gard is saying. And, man, hopefully these dudes show up and want to sit down on the defensive end, get a few turnovers, and win the point guard battle. I think Boyd's going to come out today and say, hey, I'm actually closer to the guy at Wisconsin that just whooped up on Iowa than I was against Oregon. I think he's going to come out and make a statement. I think Blackwell, hopefully, he can get a little bit busy today as well. So we'll see what happens. I think it would be great.
Yeah, and I'll say the one thing I want to see, and I've harped on this quite a bit, and Wisconsin's improved on this a lot in 2026, but continue to put your threes up. I don't have a problem with that. That is their identity, but the quality of threes. Let's not have pass around the arc three-pointers, all right? Let's touch the paint first, kick it out, get that ball popping. When that ball's popping for Wisconsin, that's when shots start falling, and then it could be a tear, like against Michigan or against Illinois. When that ball is moving, or Michigan State, like that, when that ball's popping around, good things happen. And then obviously box out. You got to box out. Washington's got the boards. They got the beef down low, so you can't be getting bullied on the offensive boards as well. And hopefully Nolan Winter's ankle isn't in too rough of shape. And then I don't know if you watched the cinematic highlights of Wisconsin versus Illinois, but Gard in the pregame said something like Les and Ness need to show up, and I forgot exactly what the words were, but it was like toughness, fearlessness, and togetherness. It was something along those lines. I ate that up. I love that. Les and Ness. We need to see Les and Ness today. And then I think to wrap this on up, because the game's about to start, you got one more question, and I already know the answer to this, but Mike, go ahead.
I don't think I necessarily want to coach in college. If I would coach, it would probably be at the professional level. I think I could do a little bit better job at that. But, there is quite a bit of money at Wisconsin. And if, somebody threw me a bag, maybe I'd have to go show up there. But I'm going to be honest with you. I have a hard time leaving the beach. Like, I love warm weather. I really like living in a place with amarillos, plantains. So it's going to be hard to get me out of here. I'm going to be honest with you, but maybe be a professional coach someday down here. We'll see. But if the opportunity showed up itself and they said, you don't have to do anything and you can be the head coach right now, maybe. But I don't think that's how that works.
All right. Hey, appreciate it. Yep. No, it's a vest. It's a vest, not a bib. It's a vest.
Oh, the disrespect.
Okay, I know.
Pepe Le Pew, come on now. Come on, Peps.
And that Minnesota about to take down UCLA. That's not shocking to me. But yeah,
it's good for us.
Awesome. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, thank you for tuning in to this kind of last-minute preview video. And Mike, are we going to be back after the game? What's your plan?
Yeah, we can. I got nothing going on. I'm going to watch the game and maybe do some dishes, but I'll be around.
All right, cool. So I think we'll hop on a live stream after the game as well. So tune on into that. And this was The Brew with Matt and Mike. Show some love to Mike's channel. Show some love to my channel if you don't mind. Follow us on Facebook. No one follows us on TikTok outside of myself. We just created that. So if you want to be one of our first TikTok followers, look up The Brew with Matt and Mike. But yeah, we will see you very soon, later tonight.